Hey, it's Anita and Dolly, and we will be back live in about 10 segundos.
And we are live. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight at the DNA Authority. I am Dolly Cortez.
And I am Anita Myers, and today is Wonder Woman Wednesday, and we've got a wonderful guest. We have a wonderful guest that's going to be joining us in a little bit. Tiffany Hinton, who will be talking to us about the power of self-love, love, love, love.
Anita Myers Powers, how are you this evening?
Ooh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm You know, I'm really excited that we have an amazing guest tonight, Tiffany Hinton. She has joined us in the past, and the fact that she's coming back.
She's one of our quarterly guests. We've got, we've handpicked some fabulous guests that we know that are wonderful, and she is one of the great ones that we love working with. She has so many people that admire what she does because she brings a lot of value to people's lives. So we were really glad that when we talked to her about the idea of coming on board and being part of our crew as a quarterly guest, and she said yes. I said, absolutely, this is the best thing ever. So we're really glad to have her on board. And she'll be talking, like we said, like I lovingly said, it's all about self-love. And that's what really we're here to talk to everybody here today, whether you see it live or you see it in a recording. Mm-hmm. Self-love should happen all the time. So there's no wrong time in watching this program, this show, this talk that we're having. So I want to be able to bring up the concept of self-love. And I know that Dolly's got some, she has a quote. I've got some fun things to bring forward to you today. But I just want you to think about the concept of self-love. I think a lot of times children on up, I work with tweens and teens, college age students, adults, all the way to grandmas and grandpas. When we talk about self-love, it seems like that's the thing that seems really uncomfortable to talk about. I think for others who have been really working hard on it, they can, what just happened? I can't ignore it. I can't ignore it. That was a record scratching moment. I'm just going to accept it in my life.
Let's talk about it then. I was trying to find something here very quickly on myself so that I can share our program into the other platforms, and you came up very happy on the on my cell phone. I couldn't mute it fast enough, So.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. I heard this noise, but that was me. That was me just getting scared of me. Okay, well, I was talking about the idea of self-love, and it's one of those things where I was saying, we've got a spectrum of people, all ages, that I find have a little hard time. Many have a hard time thinking about what they do to love who they are. When we talk about self-love, there's a lot of different ways in looking at it. We have our expert who's going to be talking about these specific powers that she knows that's really worth sharing with everybody. But just on the surface, if we kind of touch base on it, the idea of self-love, you could call it self-care. just kind of taking your eyes away from everything that you see out there and turning it within to see how are we, what's our emotional temperature like? If you think about it that way, I mean, I work in the emotional intelligence arena. So I look at emotional power, our emotions. How are we feeling? Logic is very important, but how are we supporting our logic with the emotions? Are we using the right emotions for the need that we have? That sometimes we feel like we need to be angry. Okay, we're allowed to be angry, but how are we really feeling that anger? Are we feeling it in a way where, you want to, there are times where people want to go into those rooms you can rent, and then you have a bat and you have yourself with like this outfit that protects you, and then like you want to bash everything. Okay. As long as you are, being safe about your way of handling your temper. Sometimes we just accumulate, and then we don't make room for us. I'm hearing my twin echoing back.
Where?
I don't know. I want to make sure that in case the volume's getting a little goofy. So when we think about how we manage our emotions, self-love is important. How are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of ourselves in terms of how we feel about things? And sometimes, well, I'll tell you one example that I do, and I'd love to know what Dolly does here. But in my example, let's say I feel sad about something. I've noticed that I can identify my emotions better through songs, through certain movies. I'll watch a movie and I'll go, that's exactly how I feel. Gosh, I needed to hear that. And, we don't think about the dialogue. We never, we may see a movie a long time ago and like it for whatever it is. And then we watch it again at a time where our emotions are whatever those emotions are. And we suddenly can see that we can relate to it because we're feeling something that's strong or we're feeling something that's depressing. So it's kind of nice for me whenever I go through some of my emotions, either I might use music or movies or television shows to identify with it and like kind of merge with it so I could feel that pain and go, oh my gosh, I really need to cry it out. Or other times I might use it just in the opposite sense. Like I'm so upset or so frustrated. There's nothing I could do about it. This is what it is. So throw on Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian that I just absolutely love, my favorite comedian ever. And, that brings my spirit up. And that is, for me, that's one tool that I use to manage my emotions so that I really give myself that self-love, to be able to hug myself when sometimes a hug from someone else doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. So when you can identify how you feel, you can start using some of those external tools to kind of bring you to a place of feeling good. You do need to process through your emotions. Dolly, how do you have any things
one of the things that I do is I eat ice cream.
Well, that's one way to do it.
You know what?
What ice cream?
Well, what ice cream? I'm a simple girl. I love vanilla. I just love
so vanilla.
I am so vanilla, but
you're so not vanilla. Like you are vanilla with sprinkles and
a little bit of caramel and the little chocolate chunks, and you get me up. But I love my vanilla, and so no, I really enjoy ice cream. I really enjoy ice cream. So if I'm having a bad day and I really want to de-stress, I'm like, let's go for ice cream. And it makes me feel better, or a beer, but usually ice cream.
It all depends on the moment. I remember that. So when you were a kid, I have a question for you about that ice cream thing. When you were a kid, was there something that associated to that good feeling? Is that something that you and your family would go and get ice cream together, or did you have that experience on your own?
You know what? What my family and I would do when I was a young girl, and I'll never forget it. My parents were very modest, and we did what we could, right? And so our treat was McDonald's.
That was like the big thing. That's what everybody was like, going to McDonald's. Now it's different.
Our treat was McDonald's on Friday nights. So we would go and we would, my mom she was so adorable. She was like, well, she's so adorable. But at that time she would be like, "Ay, Louis, That's my dad. Hi, Louis. Let's go get a hamburger. I'm like, okay. So the kids will go, we will all go, we get together in the car, and we would just go get some burgers and get some ice cream, and we just eat in the car, and we would just have fun, and we would laugh, and we would be goofy, and it was just a nice time, and it was a quality time. So I love my ice cream. I mean, that is like, it's like it brings me at the comfort level, so
Well, sometimes it's, I know that there's people that would say, oh, I don't want to go near sugar and I don't want to go near this and that, and there's reasons why people say that. I understand that, I can respect it, but sometimes in these moments, this is just childhood. Something about having that ice cream, just that equated a good feeling. You were with family, or I always like to look at what makes me like something so much, like for example, coffee. A lot of people just love coffee. Some people love it for certain reasons, like it just makes me feel, I need the energy and I'm happy, and it became a new habit. For me, I never could have coffee. When I saw my parents having coffee, my mom had tea, a lot of tea, and my father had coffee, and then I'd see them having coffee. And I started getting older, I would say 11, 12, 13, I'd start seeing the little, like, to go, that they had these coffee cups. This is before Starbucks, folks. This is before Starbucks. This is where I remember. Now, I grew up in Skokie, and I went to school, and my high school was in Skokie, and the school was actually situated right across the street from the mall. And these malls, this was like a really great mall, but it was an outdoor mall at the time. Now it's a little different. It's a little designed very differently. But I remembered when I think it was a freshman in high school, and I just, walked across to the mall, and I just felt so independent. I walked across to the mall by myself, and I walked all the way, and I said, there's Gloria Jean's Coffee Bean.
Oh, I love Gloria
Jean. See the sign. Like, I'm just this young, new, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed girl, and I'm like, I'm going to go inside, and I'm going to get me a coffee, and nobody can tell me I can't. So I went in and I got a hazelnut coffee. My very first.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was the best feeling. And that I remember I walked around with that coffee and I sipped it, and like, it was the weirdest feeling, because I'm like, I'm by myself with a cup of coffee. I feel very independent, but I kind of wish somebody was with me, but I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to be walking. And I felt like, okay, I was just kind of feeling the idea of being independent. And then I went into Victoria's Secret.
I love it.
I was a little too independent.
That is awesome. You were really running.
I was foreshadowing.
Oh, hi, Sonia, and hi, Jen. They have joined us tonight.
Are we live on Facebook too now?
We are not live on Facebook. We are on YouTube tonight. I do not know why we are having some glitches with Facebook. But,
so they can see us through Facebook. This is exciting.
Well, I went ahead and I modern technology. I actually shared our link.
Well, that's exciting. I love modern technology when it comes to these things. It's wonderful. That's great.
Exactly. Jen is laughing with us, by the way. Jen is laughing with us. No, you know what? You made me laugh, though, talking about coffee so much. You make me laugh because you have heard me and my son go to the Starbucks drive-thru, and we
have evolved with coffee.
Oh my God. Girlfriend, I don't even know what he drinks anymore. I don't know what he's drinking.
I do. I should have the list in front of me. He gave me this whole long freaking list. It's like this long when he talks.
Yeah.
Like, I want this, and 3 shots of this, please. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, it's like a peppermint mocha or grande ice vanilla latte with some goofy foam, with 3 pumps of raspberry, with coconut milk. And then the lid is like, it's like, I'm like, what do you, I look at him when he's doing that. I can never remember. So I'm like, what are you drinking?
I think there's like a shot that's called Restrepo. And then at the end he says, and make sure you have chocolate shavings on the top. Okay. Thank you. And when it was done, I heard it. And I remember I heard it and I kind of went, he's going to order for me, because I just asked for a cafe mocha and I'm done.
Can you, or can I just have a regular coffee?
Coffee. What's that? What kind of coffee? Coffee. Coffee. Just coffee.
Yeah, just coffee, just coffee. So,
But anyway, when we talk about the idea of self-love, like look what's happening to us. We're having these moments and suddenly we're all giddy and silly and stupid and funny in a good way. And, bringing the good joy is really important to us. And, we don't want to do things where we have addiction issues. And that's the thing that brings us to having self-love. We want to try to find organic ways of really finding joy and relaxation and calm and inspiration. So many different good feelings to take care of ourselves. Plus, just in general, we kind of forget, like you and I might be victims of this issue, or I'll spotlight us rather. I don't call us victims, but we tend to forget to stop, look away from the computer, stop looking at the computer because your eyes are going to die from, all the interaction that you have. We got to look away. We've got to stop and rest and sit on the couch a little bit, actually take a break. We tend to just keep going like a freight train, through phone things and internet things and television things. We forget to do that. So,
I completely agree. By the way, Sonia is wanting an Americano coffee now.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with getting American coffee.
She's in Canada. So let me tell you.
American coffee. Oh, she is in Canada?
She's in Canada, yeah.
We have a Canadian viewer. This is exciting.
We do. You know what? If I could share something, talk about things that bring you joy. I did something this week that brought me a lot of joy. I would love to share it with you.
Do tell.
I'm telling now. So do you remember that a couple weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to give my online course away, the Right to Heal?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was giving away 2 courses, and I was just so excited because I requested that anyone that was interested in trying to win the course, they had to submit essays. So Jen was one of the lovely ladies, and Sonia was one of the lovely ladies. They submitted essays, and I had a couple others as well. Well, I had a few others as well. But Jen was one of the lucky winners of the course. So
congratulations. That's great. I think, didn't she win something else too last week that we will be working with her on that?
Yes. We owe you a little something. Jen, it's not an Americano.
You've got a winning streak already. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we got something planned for you. But Jen was one of our viewers, one of the individuals that submitted her essay, and she won. She was selected, and I just loved giving it to her, and it brought me so much joy. But I especially loved it because Jen has a little girl, and she scared her little girl because she screamed because she was so happy. And then we had another lady, and her name is Missy, and Missy won, and she screamed so loud she scared her husband. So that was hilarious to me. So I was just having a blast, giving these prizes away. And then I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna give 3. I'm not gonna give away 2. I'm gonna give away 3. Why not? So I picked another person because I just absolutely fell in love with her essay, and it was so moving. That brought me just the most amount of joy.
That's wonderful.
I loved it. And you know what? I was so moved. And these beautiful ladies, they have thanked me over and over again. And I mean, I've just received the most beautiful messages, but I just wanted to give a shout out to them because they were amazing. And it was something that made me feel so good. So I'm selfish that way. I love to give. So
I think it's wonderful that they won that. Congratulations, ladies. If you're watching it now or later, congratulations. And if everything goes according to how it should go, maybe we'll get to see you on the show and you can talk all about your experiences if you're open for that. I think that'd be really nice to be able to know how, when you start off in something, you get a little apprehensive, but once you kind of plow through everything else, having someone like Dolly, I think that'd be really great to know the experience so that someone else who, you're going to know by the end of it all that, there are people out there that could really use this. So I think it'd be a great idea to have them come out as a guest.
And Sonia also did win from our show last week. Remember, she was playing the game. So
yes.
So we will be reaching out to you ladies.
Wonderful. And, I we have lots of information to share, but what I'd like to do next, if we can do this, is I know we might have a commercial to share. So let's go do that. And then we'll come back and get our amazing self-loving guest, Tiffany Hinton, on.
We will do that.
All right.
I am excited to bring our guest over. You want to go ahead and do a quick intro?
Well, this woman is someone that I know, I work with. She is a great mentor for so many reasons. She's known as, and I want to say this right. I always get the names mixed up, but I know it's certified gluten-free mom. I'm hoping I'm saying that in the right way. I know she's going to come on and say, well,
it's gluten-free mom certified.
Is that what it is? Gluten-free mom certified. So I knew I was going to do that, but the point of it is that she is definitely a guru in so many areas. And what I believe her outlook is, no matter how many followers that she has, she's really looking at the overall benefit that a person can have through nourishment, through how their outlook in life is and what they can do about it. And man, she knows that organic way of cooking, gluten-free for sure. Obviously, her ways of cooking. She has so many recipe books out there. She has a new one out. There's much to share. So we'll have her come on right now and share a little bit more about the history of Tiffany Hinton. There she is.
Hello, ladies.
Hi, how are you? I feel so bad that I know I messed that up, and I shouldn't. I've known you long enough. My goodness. It's mom certified. No, it's not.
It starts with a G.
Mom certified. No, gluten-free certified mom.
You have it.
Gluten-free mom.
No, gluten-free mom certified. I thought so, but it just, I don't know what happened.
All good.
Yeah,
It's been one of those days, Anita. That
it really has. It really has. It really has.
Tiffany, thank you so very much for coming back and joining us and sharing your wisdom with our viewers. And I thank you. We're very grateful to you.
Yeah, she was with us. She came before as a guest a couple times, and we wanted her to come on now with a little bit more oomph in our world, where she is our quarterly guest, so she can share a lot more information. And if you don't mind, because in case anyone has who is the gluten-free mom certified Tiffany Hinton, you can share that with everybody.
All right. So yes, I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 3 girls, Chicago-based, author, speaker, 16 books, international bestseller, 2 Amazon bestsellers, and a functional medicine certified health coach. So helping women that have autoimmune conditions or just health issues get a life and a body that they love. And I'm super excited tonight about our topic of self-love and self-care, because that just helps us as women have more energy to give more.
Well, Tiffany, can you share with our listeners, why is self-care, self-love so important? What is it? Or is this a myth?
It is not a myth. Oh my goodness. So,
I know, right? Well,
right?
I know that, but let's tell that to the viewers.
I mean, I think anybody that's ever been a parent or had to take care of their parents, whether you're, a parent now or you're taking care of your parent, that at some point you break. At some point, if you don't take care of yourself, you don't have any more energy to take care of the people you're supposed to. I can remember, I had 3 kids under the age of 3. So we had 3 in diapers at the same time, multiple cribs. It was kind of chaotic. But I can remember nights of never sleeping and just that whole, and I'm sure you guys can relate, you're both parents as well, of I don't know if I'm going to make it through the next day. I need my own nourishment. And I think that's the wake-up call that we have, that if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of those around us.
Yeah, that's very true.
It happens often when we see, and that's what we were talking about before, that, we give so much of ourselves to things that mean everything to us. And, it's sometimes we do things because we have to do them. And then there's things we do because we want. And sometimes it's a combination, like, when it comes to a child, it's your baby. So you want the best for your child. And then you also need to do those things. So that always becomes first. And when you know that you've got a little itty bitty boo-boo, you suddenly see especially the first time, and you see a child, like, it's sometimes it's hard to describe, but the best I can say is that, you're working with like a body that's like Jello. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know anything. They're so dependent on you guiding them. And when you get that connection immediately, you're like, oh my gosh, how could I ever do anything else in my life? It's just going to be this child. Then you have another child. It's going to be, no, it's going to be these two children. And then you have another one. It's going to be these three.
Sometimes we don't even make it in the list. It's just like, okay, we have this and this one, this person and this person, this person. By the time you're like, there's no time for me. I'm just going to go to bed.
And sometimes you're right. I mean, we've heard some very unfortunate stories because it gets to that extreme, actually. And, the idea that we hope for is, when you do feel like the idea of feeling like you're going to break, that the machine that you have within, we think that I'm not going to think, we believe that we can do so much, and we actually can. We have so much potential, but sometimes because we're too tired, because we've put so much into one area, we don't see what's going to happen to us later. We still experience this even when our children are grown. We forget to eat. We forget to drink something like, my water, Tiffany, me, my water. It's like,
I got some.
yeah, like I have mine. So it's like, so when we have these things, I know you mentioned something, one of your power points to really spotlight is you have a 10% rule. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. And that's something that I learned from a mentor of mine. And then when she was talking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is golden. And I'm going to just own it. Right. But the idea that we are taught through religion and other things growing up to like give 10%, right? Give 10%. But do you give 10% to yourself? And so she has a rule of basically 10% is a power of 3. So yes, tithe your 10%, give your 10% away, but you have to give 10% to yourself. And if you don't end up giving 10% to yourself, you don't have anything else to give away because it's the law of attraction. You have to love on yourself. You have to give yourself 10% because that's going to grow, therefore allowing you to give more from yourself because you gave to yourself. And so when you think about 10%, what is that in 24 hours? It's 2.5 hours. So
2.5 hours a day.
2.5 hours a day, you should be loving on yourself, whether that's eating great, nourishing food, drinking your water, going for a walk, listening to music. I think me and Anita had this whole conversation earlier as well. Like listening to your favorite music could be giving to yourself. Maybe it's reading a book.
Oh man, I just realized I don't give myself enough.
And Sally, you were talking about, as I was listening in the green room, like how much joy you felt giving stuff away. But in reality, you were giving to yourself when you were giving to them because it brought you joy.
Yes, absolutely. I say I'm selfish that way because I like to make people smile.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I get teased about at our house is like, you're so selfish. And I'm like, yep, I'll just own it because there are things that whether it's yoga or listening to the songs I want to listen to or, serving myself the first cup of coffee in the morning.
Wow, that's interesting though. 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours out of 24 should be for you.
Do you give yourself 2.5 hours, Anita?
Yes.
You do?
When you have younger children, it's a little difficult. And in my circumstance, it definitely was difficult because, and I'm not saying that it's not possible, but in my circumstance, I don't have extended family, and I didn't have the kind of circle of people that's like, oh, I can just drop off my daughter at so-and-so's house and go and, have a date with my husband. It was really me and my husband and my daughter. And we were in our circumstances where we weren't going to have anyone help us. It was very, very rare when we did. We're very grateful for those who did. But in the end, my sense of responsibility really skyrocketed up for the sake of being with my daughter. Lost my job, lots of financial situations happening. My husband was now working, and I'm thinking, I've got to be able to work. We got to bring in the money, you know, all this other stuff, our responsibilities. And so, you know, those moments, it's almost like you kind of have to go to battle and you got to win that war, win that battle one at a time to win the war. And eventually it finally settled in. And I also had moments where, let's say I had to drive to wherever I needed to drive to for an interview or something like that. That drive, I just what Tiffany was talking about, I'll put on a song, like I'll throw Sade on. For me, I got a thing for Sade. I've always had a thing for her. And when I throw that on, it really gets my energy vibrations to kind of chill. And I could be in traffic, but I'm good because Sade's on, the song's on, I'm humming the song, I'm singing along, whatever it is. So sometimes it's about putting the window down and letting that breeze through, whatever it was. But I'd find those tools to let me, you know, mentally get into that, you know, it's a cognizant meditative state. You know, I'm not meditating where I can't see what I'm doing when I'm driving, but I'm just calming my brain down. When I'm at home, even in the moments where I'm feeding my daughter, you know, she's a little baby, she's got the bottle. You know, if I'm feeding my daughter, those are my meditative states. This is why they had those wonderful, they're not rocking chairs, they're gliders. Remember those? Anyone knows I'm talking about gliders? They're like a rocking chair, but you know, just rocking yourself while you're rocking the baby is also a moment to rest. Now that I'm older, my daughter's older, she's 14. I've been able to manage that. You know, this is the time where I stop talking to people on social media. This is the time where I'm going to go ahead and listen to music or watch a show that makes me happy or just rest. Like today, I took a moment. I threw my phone on the couch. I'm like, I'm not looking at it anymore. And I rested with my kiddo. I just said, you know, I literally said this, and to someone else, it might sound like a selfish thing, but I don't think this. I don't think it's selfish at all. I think it's so beautiful to take care of yourself, and your daughter or your child seeing that you care about yourself will then tell them that they should care about themselves. So I said to my kiddo, I said, well, I didn't say it. I kind of whined it. I'm like, I'm going to rest on the couch. Will you just rub my forehead for like 5 minutes? She comes over and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, absolutely. And she's just like, you know, moving my hair. And I just started whimpering. Like, I just love my daughter. I just love you so much. Because, you know, I do that for her when she's having a hard day. So we helped each other out, and that gives me time to rest.
So today I actually took the day off pretty much. I did, and I'll be honest with you. I was even enjoying a little wine, and it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. I was like, it was, but it was so totally not planned. It partially planned. It was, I was really enjoying today. It was a celebration today. But I normally don't do that. So I have to admit to that. I normally don't do that. I'm a workaholic. But see, for me, I work a lot, but I love what I do. So I often say it doesn't feel like work because I actually enjoy what I do, you know? But now, see, I would think of, Tiffany, you're going to be like, girl. Normally I would say, this would be my argument. I've actually had these conversations. If you don't have 10 minutes a day to devote to yourself, you really cannot be that busy. I would always say that. But now I'm thinking 2.5 hours out of a 24-hour period.
No, not even. Because think about it. Like, how many hours you have to sleep, and then you subtract that. So you really, it's important to. You don't want to wait till you have to sleep to take 2.5 hours.
Well, that's the thing. I need to analyze what I'm doing. I think I need to start writing down my time management and like every 15-minute or 20-minute increments. What did Dolly do today?
I think it's a great idea. The 10% rule is a fantastic idea. I hope people can administer that in what Dolly said. Look at your schedule now. Take a look at when you wake up and when you go to bed, and how are you going to, in my world, I tell the clients that I work with that, you know, you're the CEO of your life. Yeah. You are the one who operates all of the divisions of your enterprise, if you will. So when you think about it, this is how I think. Okay. I think this way. I'm making an executive meeting. That executive meeting is going to involve me going for a walk. The executive meeting is me taking a nice bath. The executive meeting is resting or exercise. You know, you should make those just as important as what you think your career meetings are. This is your career. Stay alive, you know?
No, I completely agree with you. We got some comments here from Jen and Sonia. Sonia says, even when we love what we do, we still need self-care boundaries. And I completely agree with you. So I'll be better. And then Jen says, I gave myself an hour this morning. Now I'm giving myself time for this. And I love these two ladies because they've been joining us on a weekly basis. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So I love the fact that they're here and they're spending time with us and they want to learn something new and they want to get engaged and get involved. So I love that. Thank you so much, ladies. Now, Tiffany, you also have a couple more rules that you like to follow.
I don't know they're rules. They're just guidelines.
Okay.
Because if you break them or you can't adhere to them, you can't be guilty on yourself, right?
Right.
You have to love yourself. So the other one that I mentioned earlier when I was before the show is dumping out what no longer works. And this is the idea of, right, everybody always says you can't drink from an empty glass or you can't give if your vase is not full or, right, fill. But eventually the bottom of the vase, the bottom of the glass is full of ick and muck. And if you've ever let flowers like sit in a vase for a couple of weeks and then you go to throw out the dead flowers, it's like even stinks. The same thing happens to us. We fill ourselves, right, with personal education and self-development and massage and nature walks and great music and all this stuff. And maybe we got fitness routines. But eventually there's going to be stuff that no longer fits where we're at in our life. And we got to get that out. And I'll give you an example. So I have always been in the past, a cardio, let's go to the gym, let's sweat it out, let's like do power workouts, HIIT routines, right? For a while it was all about lifting, like hardcore fitness. And this year I decided that no longer served me. I didn't enjoy it and I wasn't getting anything from it. And in July I switched to yoga. And a lot of people in my house were like, what are you doing? And I was like, this is me now. Get used to it. But that was one of those things I needed to just clean out the bottom. Like it had been 10 years of this cardio that I just didn't feel anymore. And I think as we grow and we develop as people, there are things that you may have in your self-care bucket. Maybe it's you used to go get your nails done. And now that you can't leave your house, you really can't go get your nails done. But whatever those self-care things are, you might need to clean out the old ones and not have a rule, like you said, Dolly, that you have to do it and then feel guilty if you don't do it because it no longer serves you. So I think every year you should look in yourself and say, okay, what in my self-care area, what in my healthy habits or in my general habits no longer is serving me, and let's just get that out.
I love the idea of that. I think that that's great because I think about how people do when you have a habit. You want to do something, then you start doing that something, then it becomes a habit, and often it's a good habit. Then you want to excel and whatnot, and then eventually it taps out. Some people get into martial arts for a little while, and then they don't want to do it anymore, or they go into something, whatever that is. But what happens at that end, that crossroad, when they have that feeling of I don't think it serves me anymore. I don't think they ever had that phrase to say, like we're saying things like that now, like it doesn't serve me. It doesn't feel right. I can change direction. I can. Where before, I think sometimes, people feel guilty doing that. Like you said, because we somehow made that a rule, or I always used to do this, so I should always keep doing this. It's like the right thing to do. And truth be known, it doesn't have to be the right thing to do. It should just be the thing you did. Yeah. And you can always step back into it later, but maybe you need to kind of go on a vacation from that for a while and try something else that feels a little bit better and navigate there, explore it. So with you doing yoga, you felt it, you're kind of owning it. It's almost like your soul is saying, grow in this direction. You're saying, okay, and that actually makes a transition really nice. Because I think sometimes when you hold a sense of guilt that you're doing something that you're normally not, I normally did this and not that, it can cause you to feel a little bit of stress and, you feel bad. And that phrase of I feel bad, I'd love to see people stop saying that and actually feel excited to try something new. Give it a 30-day challenge. I used to have to do that for myself. In order for me to do something new, it's a 30-day challenge. Can I do it in 30 days? And then all of a sudden it's not so bad. It's pretty good.
I think that this will also work not only in a personal basis, but also in a business environment. because as I'm listening to both of you, what comes to my mind is this. I have my small business, my publishing company, and there are many things, many hats that I wear, right? Because that's how it is when you're a solopreneur. Wear many hats and many other responsibilities. So I actually just spoke to my assistant a couple days ago, and I said to her, I want to give you more. I want to give you more if you want more. And because I feel like I I want to be able to do other things, but in order for me to be able to do other things, I need to be able to free up some of my time. So that's what you remind me of, and I think it's important for us to reflect and to start looking, and like you mentioned, Tiffany, just thinking about what serves you and what doesn't serve you. Like, how often would you do that? Is this something that you do like on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis, just when you feel like it, or annual? What's the norm?
For me, it's been annual, but I actually like where you just went with that, Dolly. Like, you could do it as the seasons change, because at least in Chicago, our weather changes daily, but it changes significantly every season. So you could go from, hey, it's summer and I walk my dog, or I'm outside, in my yard, or I sit on my patio, to, hey, it's winter, it's fall. That doesn't really serve me right now. So what am I going to replace? Because I can't sit out on my deck, right? Especially like there's 3 inches of snow today.
Yeah.
Most people are not sitting out on their deck. But, right. So I like that idea, Dolly, that you just brought up. Like, maybe it's seasonally or quarterly. You kind of look at, like, what are my current habits? Are there any that I'm ready to release?
Yeah.
And is there anything I want to try and bring in?
Yeah, I think it could bring a sense of like, let's refresh your computer page.
Yeah.
Let's hit the reset button, that refresh button, just so that, see if you could like enlighten yourself a little bit more and just have more interest, whether it be, I want to read more, or maybe I don't want to read anymore.
And it makes it a lot of fun because it really actually stimulates different parts of your mind. When you think about your brain and your brain's health, there are areas in your mind that just aren't used. They just aren't used because you're always using this. Like, I'm going to look at it like a mansion. You have a big mansion in your mind, and there's all these incredible rooms in there. But the only rooms you turn on are the ones that are, turn the lights on, is where, it's the same, like, let's just say like 5 rooms every day. It's the same 5 rooms. So, you don't get to know what the other rooms lead you to, what other treasures are in those rooms. So when it comes down to, like, let's say it's a 30-day challenge, or it's a monthly thing, or a quarterly thing, or a biannual thing, you're challenging yourself to step out of that comfort zone and do something new. It lights up a new room. It says, hey, this is pretty cool. I didn't think of doing that, and now I did. And it gets you kind of, I love the fact that we live in the Midwest. Personally, it doesn't mean anyone else that lives wherever they are, that doesn't mean that it's bad, but I do like it because you are forced to change with the weather. Like, I got to get like 5 different coats and put it in my car because I don't know what weather, but the thing is we have this sense of adaptability, and we keep moving because we know things are going to change. And when that changes, your clothing changes, and the things that you bring with you change. And it just makes it a lot more fun. So in addition to be able to come up with new things and letting go, like you said, letting go of something that you have right now that just, at the time just doesn't serve you anymore. You don't do that.
I love
your last one you said is your kids. I love this.
That was powerful.
Your kids watch you for how to love themselves. Yeah. Will you share a little bit about that?
So true. So I have 3 daughters, right? And we're, the oldest is 9, but I'm starting to hear comments around, oh, my butt's so fat, or, oh, my stomach. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, I don't walk around talking about my butt, or I might talk about my stomach if I'm bloated or if it had gluten or something. But like, what is making you want to talk about this? And that whole idea, though, but it's so true. They watch us for how to love themselves. They watch us to know, like, what are our habits? And they watch other, I think, mentors in their lives, whether they're coaches or teachers, to know what are their habits. Are they drinking water all day, or are they reaching for, the 5-hour energy, or the whatever else, the soda pops? My girls know in the morning that I journal, that I write gratitude, and that I do about 45 minutes of yoga right now. And they also know that if they come down and that's happening, and they start chattering, that I'll be like shooing them out because it's disruptive and it's frustrating. But being able to communicate that with them allows them later to tell me sometimes, Mom, you're disrupting and you're frustrating me. Can you give me 5 minutes? Because they start to mimic what they see.
Right. I think that just by nature, if we really observed how children behave, not that you guys don't, but in general, when we look at our how children behave and how we actually behave, because it happens with us as adults too. I don't think it just is limited to children. It's just a human thing.
Yeah.
That when you, for instance, if you meet somebody that you are fond of, meaning they're your friend, they become your good friend, and you spend enough time with them, you'll start mimicking the attributes of the other person automatically. It just naturally happens because you like them, you care about them, you might start laughing a little bit like them or having same mannerisms about them. So we tend to do that when I see it with adults, the way they sit, the way they sigh, the way they laugh, they just can't. I remember seeing this with my daughter where there was a girl, this was younger age, she was probably 5 or 6 years old. She was really good friends with this girl. And this girl always did this as a habit. She'd always just like the girl actually would bite into her finger, and she would just have this habit.
Yeah.
And but they always hung out and played together. Then one day I saw my daughter just do that. She didn't bite into it, but she just put her thumb to her mouth and just kind of like looking at things and and while that's okay, it was interesting for me because I saw the change take place. Now, if we know that that's what happens in mimicking behaviors, physical behaviors, it still also happens with emotional behaviors, and it happens with our decisions and what we do. So as parents, we're in the home with them every day, all the time. And they hear us on the phone. They hear our phrases. They hear how they do pay attention. They might be playing blocks or coloring or whatever, but they are paying attention to our habitual ways of handling our spouses. How we manage when we do look at ourselves. I know I told a story the other day about my kiddo. I had gone to ask her if she's interested in maybe having a tutor once a month, because there was the math problems are getting a little bit more challenging. So I just kind of brought it up because I knew that she had already resolved the issue. She found a way. She had to think outside of her math box and she figured it out. But then when I asked her, it was hilarious because she just sat there. She was writing away and she's just like, why don't we just cross that bridge when we get to it? Okay, Mom. And I was just kind of like,
that's so you.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know that she would, her mannerism and how she said and the fluctuation of her voice. I heard me talk to me and I wasn't insulted. I actually was kind of like, wow, that was so great that she made that decision. And, I really champion people that do that, including my kid when she does that. But the point is,
I don't like it when my kid does that.
Well, I like that she made that decision because she has to make a decision if it doesn't fit her, if she's not ready for it, versus me pushing an idea that she's not ready for. She'll be like this. Yeah. She's not going to want to I want her brain to want this. And if I need to get her to that point, we'll have to have conversations. But I like that she was very confident. She was very confident in her decision. And it told me that she was seeing the mannerisms of me. And one of the things, Tiffany, I remember that I would say to my kiddo that I hope more parents do who have younger kids is I use the term of me time. Mm-hmm. I would tell her, I want you to have what I'm calling me time. You're going to have me time and I'm going to have me time. So now we're older. It's like, all right, girlfriend, I've got my me time and you've got yours. So we'll talk later. We have our conversations and we're good. Or she'll say, Mom, listen, I love you, but I'm going to have some me time right now. It's great. It's self-soothing. It's necessary. It's independence. I applaud it. So yes, watch that, knowing that your kids watch you so that they can
2.5 hours.
Right.
Well, my kids definitely. Well, my son, my youngest, he's definitely watched me. But sometimes he uses my words against me when I don't want him to. he's like, Mom, I want to share something with you, and I'm like, not now, because we may be having a discussion, for lack of a better word. And he's like, no, you're the one who always says your voice needs to be heard, but you don't let me speak.
Your voice needs to be heard. There it is.
You let me speak. And all I say is, don't give me that right now, young man. You know what this is about, young man. So yeah, it sometimes backfires. That's all I got to say.
No, I think that's really, I think it's really great for us to be able to have discussions like this. And, when we're done, and, if you're anyone who's watching right now, if you discover through just this conversation, I want to start looking at what I say and tweak it a little bit more. I do this for a living where I teach others, but don't for a moment think that I don't mess up. Don't for a moment think that I have my emotional, I get off the rails and I say something that I shouldn't, or I act a certain way because I'm tired, or whatever my story is. But recovering from that is important. And then when I believe that when you offer apology, that means that you're offering a changed behavior as soon as you offer that apology. Otherwise, the apology is useless. It's just a word. It's just a phrase. But when you know that you say, hey, I am sorry that I spoke to you that way, then that means I'm now about to commit a changed behavior so I don't speak that way. Not only that, I do think ahead of the box. I don't want my daughter speaking the way I speak if I'm speaking negatively. So what do I need to do? I need to stop speaking negatively so she can see, okay, I'm the role model, right?
I agree with that. I think that language is just overall just so important.
And I think if we engaged in self-love, we would be so much better in a place that we wouldn't be speaking that way. We wouldn't be feeling that way.
Well, I'll tell you this. You've been to my house, Anita, and you have seen that throughout my house, I have messages everywhere. I have like little messages in every room, there's messages. So I always try to be very positive, and I get upset when when people are not positive. I'm like, this is what I expect of you, especially if you come to my house. I want you to be positive. I don't want to hear negativity. It drives me insane. So I think, you have to be, at least for me, right? This is how I am. I have to be the example for my family, for my kids, for my viewers, for, those that trust me, that are looking up for me. And I don't want to mess up. I have to, I'm intentionally very careful with with my words.
So Tiffany, I have a quick question for you regarding some of the things that you just shared. You talked about the 10% rule, dumping out what isn't working for your, that it doesn't serve you, then letting that go. And, knowing that your kids watch you for how they need to love themselves. Are there any tips that you can share, or any, starting points for people that some of these things, if you have for one or for all, just something where if they have to write something down as a starting point, what would you offer to them? What can you recommend?
One thing I would say on the very first one is write down 6 to 7 things that you want to do for self-love. 7 habits you might want to gain, 7 things you enjoy, 7 things that actually make you feel good. Maybe it's a hot bath, maybe it's bubbles, whatever it is, right? And have those on a sheet of paper that you can look at. So if you do get to a moment where you're just a little frazzled, you can look at that and say, okay, I'm going to do number 4, right? Or I'm going to take 10 minutes and do this. Mm-hmm. For the second one, I always work with my clients and I ask them to rant on a piece of paper. Tell me everything that sucks, is not working, making them crazy in their life. And I think that this works the same way, because then you start to identify, what do you need to get rid of? What do you need to dump? And just take 10 minutes on a timer and just like brain dump out all of your frustration, your anger, whatever it is, onto paper. Give it some time and then go back and read it. And I bet you'll find what you need to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. Tiffany, is the best way to get a hold of you your website?
Yeah, we actually have a brand new website this year, gfmomcertified.com, and there's a contact form. So you can go in there. It shoots me and my team a direct email, and it has a space for people to write their questions, whatever they need, right in that contact form.
Okay, perfect. So
great. Here. Wonderful. Tiffany, thank you so much for your information, for these great talking points that had us reminiscing and discussing things that happen in our own lives. And I'm sure people that are watching now, thank you so much for watching that. And anyone who watches it in the future, any recording, that if you do come across some ideas of some suggestions of what you do, then, by all means, put it in the comments. Let us know. And, this way we all can grow into better people, as we go through the year of 2021 on to 2022 and so forth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll talk to her later. Thanks again, Tiffany. I know we
let's get an ad in really quick, and we'll be right back.
All right. So we've got like 2 minutes left. And I'm going to spit out some fun bits and pieces for you. We're trying to start this new thing because I wanted to interact with people that are watching now or later. Unfortunately, we are running short on time. So if you can answer now, great. We will give you the answers. So, this way it'll be something that you can take with you just because we're short on time. And I have 2 segments here. One is called Who Said That? Who said that? So here we go, Dolly.
I don't know.
Right. First one goes like this. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Who said that?
I don't know.
She doesn't even try with a word. You could just be like, Robin Williams. I don't know. Okay.
I don't know, because those are words I hear all the time. So I don't know who actually said it. Who was the original?
Okay. Well, here's the phrase again. It's you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. The person who said this is Buddha. The great Buddha.
See, I was thinking Oprah,
I'm thinking from Buddha. So the next one is love yourself first, and everything else will fall into line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in the world. I'll give you a hint of who said this. She is married to a guy named Ricky.
Lucille Ball?
Yes!
Yay!
Love yourself first, and everything else will fall into line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in the world.
I love that. I love that. Hey, is that the only 2? You got one more.
I got one more. Real quick, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do. The hint is in the word brave. Who would have said that? Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do.
I don't know.
Brene Brown. It's all about vulnerability and being brave. And so I know that we're running out of time. We'll leave it at the quotes that we have. We can have a little more fun later.
Yeah, the quote that I came up with today, which I found was, in order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you.
Ooh, who said that?
Her name was Andrea, but I cannot make out the last name.
Okay, Andrea.
I found that, and I thought it was really good. It was, in order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. And I think that's so powerful.
I'll leave it with one thing that I think is important for us to kind of recognize, and I'll try and say this quickly, that, some of the statistics in my other segment of Did You Know, some of the statistics were pretty surprising for me, but at the same time, kind of not surprising. Anxiety and depression rates have increased 70% in the past 25 years. They talk about how 80% of female students felt their negative body image was linked to negative remarks made by friends and family. 80%.
That's sad.
80%. And then 85% of the world's population is affected by low self-esteem. This is telling you, folks, that the world needs love. And in order for that to happen, we can't look for love from the outside in, except obviously we're giving you what we can here as fast as we can. We can certainly talk to you outside of this show to help you get there a little bit faster than the typical route. But look, you can do these things on your own. You can navigate through the idea of having some self-love. Give yourself 2.5 hours, like our guest Tiffany Hinton said, and hug yourself through the process. Hopefully, if you do have any questions, if you are struggling, that you can reach out to either Dolly or myself, and we'll hug you through the process ourselves.
I love that. I love that. Well, everyone, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. We sincerely appreciate your time. And with that, have a good night. See you next weekend. See you next week, not next weekend. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.